All right. So let's start off with questions. Are there any questions that anyone have about anything in the course so far that you've come across that you need help with or anything of that nature? All right, I don't see any hands or anything. I don't know if you guys can hear that on my end. I keep getting dings because people are joining, so I'm just gonna let these people in really quick before I forget. All right, so there were no questions about how things are working. It looks like most of you have been like everyone's logged in and have started on something. So that's very good. So back to this. So I wanted to refine some details for assignment submissions and discussion boards. You had your first discussion board today. I haven't taken a look at it, but just make sure you did look over your discussion board expectations before you began, which are in your syllabus, by the way. So if you were to go down in there, you see discussion boards, and you had one original detailed post. Make sure it's more, your replies are more than just "I agree." So your reply should also be meaningful, and that reply should either extend on what the original poster said, or it should say, "Hey, I see you have this idea, but have you thought about it in this manner?" So just try to stay away from simple "I agree" or "I disagree" posts. We've all been there. I've taken online classes and everyone agrees in discussion boards, but let's make sure we say why we agree and just try to make it a meaningful learning experience. Okay? Any questions about that? How many of you have already taken a peek at what the challenge assignment is? Okay. So the challenge assignment is just another name for your projects in this course. But before I get to that, I want to pause for a second because I did say I was going to clarify something for someone in an email. Someone sent me an email about notebook checks. And the question was, does every single thing that you see in the list go in your notebook check? So I'm only looking for the things that say notebook check beside them in your notebook check. So like your very first activity was what is science Play-Doh module. All you need to do is do the Play-Doh module. You don't need to take notes on it unless you feel inclined to do so. But then your next thing is what is Earth Science Notes. So when you click on it, this is a reading. I do not expect you to write down everything that is on this Play-Doh or on this slide word for word. Maybe just a few things summarizing what is the main idea that you are getting from this reading. Does that make sense to everyone? So I wouldn't want to open your notebook and see everything just written out because that's going to take too much of your time. And if you have a question at any point, just feel free to unmute yourself if you're muted and ask it. So you won't turn your notebook check in until a little bit later in the week, which will be on Thursday. Hold on, someone's having trouble and I'm trying to help them out, but I keep getting distracted because I'm talking while I'm trying to help them out. Let's see. Grace, were you able to get in? Okay, that's a no. All right, we'll just let her keep trying. So your notebook, you'll submit that on your, where it says analysis of perspectives and resources. I put in an example of what it might look like, kind of sort of uses a template. If it'll load for me here. And it just, what you'll do is wherever you see in your modules, whatever assignment said notebook check beside it. So for example, the very first thing that said notebook check was the what is Earth Science Notes. You just put what is Earth Science Notes here as your title. And then you put your notes just like an image of them if you hand wrote them, just insert an image of your notes in there. And that image can take up the entire page. So don't worry about trying to squish it down so that you don't have numerous pages. That numerous pages is okay. Just make sure it's readable and that I can see it, because sometimes we'll get them submitted as tiny little thumbnails and I can't see it, and I'll just have to email you back and ask for you to submit it one more time. Are there any questions about notebook checks? All right, I don't see any hands, so I'm gonna go back. I think that was the assignment discussion and discussion boards questions that I got in my email. Um, was there anyone that sent me an email so far that I did not get an answer to you or anything? All right. So let's talk about this first challenge assignment here. So if you're in your Canvas account, you want to go to it, you can. It's called Publishing Company. I just thought that was a good name for it because you're making posters. So basically, you've been given a task here from an educational publishing company to make posters for a middle school science room. And these posters, the topic is about science or astronomy in this case. And what these posters are doing is they are addressing some common misconceptions that people might have about some astronomy topics that we're going to cover this week. So when we say misconception, we mean a misunderstanding. So for example, I've been looking through our initial thoughts journal and I've been identifying some of the misconceptions that we have. And one misconception that lots of students have, and not only students in this course, but also when I was in college, we did a study on students at Harvard, and a lot of students think that the seasons are caused by the distance the Earth is from the sun, which is in fact not true. So one fun fact here, in the Northern Hemisphere, we're at our furthest point from the sun in July. So that would be our summertime. So that lets you know right there on the start that our distance from the sun isn't really what's causing their seasons. So that's one thing we'll address. So what is your actual task here? I'm going to go back through and I'm going to make some highlights in here once we close out this meeting to make sure it's easier to read. So for example, you see, let's see, because I'm like trying to read through and I'm messing up. So for example, you're going to make a series of posters. These are not anything that's going to take up 10 pieces of paper. It can be digital. It can be done on a piece of printer paper if you'd like to. A lot of students like to use S'more, which is a digital poster making software. Has anyone used that before? All right, I'll type it in so you guys can see it. So it's called S'more, kind of like what you eat when you make on a. All right, who's this coming in late? And it is free, so make sure you sign up for a free account if you do, and I'll put the link for this in there in case anyone wants to use it. So it's free and it's pretty simple to use. It walks you through the directions for making a poster of your topic. So like here you see some examples of some digital posters that people have made. And I'll show you some examples of from this course as well. So your first one, you want to identify misconceptions about the seasons, which I just told you. So here in this first link, we've got two resources that you can use. You do not have to use the resources I provided for you, but you want to go ahead and can you do some research to figure out what are some common misconceptions that people have about seasons. I gave you one, maybe you can find another. And then you want to say what actually causes the season. So your poster wants to give us two, each one gives you two things. What do people think? What are the misconceptions? And then what causes the seasons? And it gives you more detail on that here. Same thing for here. So this right here is giving you the real reason. So misconceptions in the first one, and then what is the real thing here? And I gave you a resource for the misconceptions, and I gave you a resource for what is the real thing. And you don't, again, you don't have to have those. You don't have to use those if you don't want to. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Each one goes back down below here and it explains what your poster should cover. And like I said, I will highlight so you'll be able to see what the different ones are. Let me show you some examples of previous students' work. I'm pretty sure I saved it, I think. Yeah, there we go. Nope. All right. So I just went in and opened up to from previous summers. So for example, this is one that a student did on misconceptions. You can see it's not a whole lot of time going into this. So just address what are the misconceptions. I think I saved a digital one. I can't remember. Let's see if this might be it. Yeah. So this is a screenshot of one, what truly causes a season. So you see they address the misconceptions and then they tell us what actually causes it and they use diagrams in there. So, and then you have your one for the tilt. And actually this person split the first poster into two different posters. And I'm not sure if it was because it wasn't clear that it was two of the same. So what I'll do for you guys is make sure you know um, what is by going in and color coding it all together to make it easier to read. And I'll do that as soon as we close out this meeting. Um, what causes tides? And that's pretty much, there isn't really much to it. What questions do you guys have for me so far? Because I know I said we would try to keep this at around 15 to 20 minutes, and we're about 13 minutes in, and I think I've covered everything I wanted to review with you. Are there any questions about the challenge? All right, I see heads shaking. I don't see any hands popping up. There's a button if you have a question where you can raise your hand, and I'll see it on my end if you do have a question. And I think we did pretty good today. Everyone attended the meeting, so you guys did good. So we don't really need the recording. Um, So since I do have everyone here, so in future meetings, there will be times like we'll always go over what your challenge is for the week and then let you ask questions, but sometimes there'll be small content activity discussions that we'll need to do. So we want to try to make sure we're doing these at a time that fits everyone or most of you. So what I'll do is I'll put out a poll and I'll let you select like a day of the week that works best for us and like a time of the day that works best for us. And I'll try to make sure we can all get here. We won't have one every single week, so there'll be some weeks that we'll have to skip. If you're not able to attend on that day, just simply just send me an email and you'll get the recording and a question or two that goes along with it. So just as long as you watch your recording, you're good. But it might be more beneficial if you are here. But I won't hound you if you have to miss it for something. One other thing, I'm going to send out an announcement about vacations. I do know that it is summertime and a lot of you are going to be going on vacations. So if you are going on a vacation, just let me know so that I'll know to expect that your assignments might be a little bit late that week. And I can go into the gradebook and code then so that points aren't being taken off for your vacation. But don't try to abuse it and say we're on vacation every single day just because you like to sleep in and not submit work on time. So, but I'll make sure I work with you on that. Okay. Does anyone have any questions before we part? All right. So thanks for coming and email me if you have any questions or concerns about your work. And I'll go back in. I have started reading some of your introductions, and I'll get through the rest of those as soon as I can. And I'll give you feedback on your original discussion post on Thursday once we get our replies in. So you guys have a great rest of your day, and you are free to roll.